everyone, this is Chef Khrystyn and welcome to another episode of our food demo series. So today we are actually going to do a play on, or a different take on, fish and grits. So we're actually going to do grits made with coconut milk, and our fish we're going to use is going to be salmon. We have some fresh kale here that's already been washed. It's going to be kind of like a kale ragu that's going to go with it, and then I dehydrated some limes as garnish. So the first thing we're going to get started on is our kale, because that's kind of what takes the longest. So I'm going to put our kale in a pan. I'm going to chop up some onion. Got some cherry tomatoes that I'm just going to have. And so the flavor profile on the shrimp and grits is going to kind of be like a citrus and Caribbean flavor. So this is also a good alternative for anyone who might be lactose intolerant, have a milk allergy, because instead of using regular milk or cream, like I said, we're going to be using coconut milk. We're going to actually saute the kale after a while, but I just want to kind of soften the kale up, so that's why I added some water. I'm going to use some salt and pepper to season. And then we can put our lid over so it can steam. Next, we're going to actually season our salmon. So the salmon I've already filleted and taken the skin off. I don't like skin on my fish. Some people don't mind. It's actually probably best to keep the skin on when you're cooking it because it keeps the moisture of the fish. However, the quick fix for that is olive oil. I'm definitely going to put oil on the inside, but depending on how it all looks or how much of the oil it absorbs, when I pull it out of the oven, I'm just going to just drizzle a little bit more of the olive oil on top so that way it just doesn't get dried out. But that's the quick fix. If you don't like skin on your fish, just add some olive oil to it. So we have some olive oil. That's about a quarter cup. I'm not going to add pepper because we have the spicy Caribbean seasoning. If you are interested in supporting another black-owned business or another woman-owned business, The Spice Suite in the DC area is black woman-owned. She has so many different spices, actual kitchen equipment that you can use. But this is one of her blends. This is Spicy Caribbean. So since it's Spicy Caribbean, it already has pepper in it, so I won't be adding any more pepper to the salmon. And then she also has this citrus blend, citrus peel rub. So this is probably going to be good, really good for obviously fish, but chicken and pork as well. And if I was going to do this with like a white fish or even with chicken, I'd probably use like a white wine, a dry white wine to go with it. I'm going to use some salt. That's what we have going on. And then some fresh lime. And if you ever have difficulty, like your limes aren't as ripe as you would like, quickest fix trick is to roll the lime on the table, and then it'll kind of get the juice to be able to come out a little easier. Alright, so I'm going to mix the fish with the seasoning. Make sure I coat everything. I suggest you go to your closest international market, and the brand I think is Blue Mountain. They have curry, they have jerk. That's probably the best bet. So as you can see, our salmon is pretty well coated. Good amount of olive oil. So with this, I'll probably just use this olive oil versus putting more olive oil on it when it comes out, because I have a pretty good amount. And so then we have a sheet pan that has parchment paper and it's already been pre-sprayed. Just put your fish on it. And then we're going to actually boil this on low because we want to be able to give our kale time to actually kind of cook down. And if you notice, I put everything, you can still kind of see even when you take the skin off which side is skin side. So skin side down. And then we can put it in the boiler. Boiler is set on low. So I'm actually going to check on the kale. As you can see, our tomatoes have started blistering. Kale is starting to cook itself down. It's becoming wilted at this point. We want it to kind of cook down a little bit more. I'm actually going to turn my palette down some to a low simmer. As you can see, it's not that much water in the pan. Just enough to kind of get it going. Get everything wilted. So now, I'm actually gonna get started on the grits. Liquid in first. One can of coconut milk, and then just to recycle, I will use 1 can of water. By the way, this recipe is for 4 to 6 people. I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt. I always put some salt in my grits, and I'll keep adding pepper. And then get this on the stove. We want to let it boil. Get it to a rolling boil. Put the lid on so it can boil a little faster. Okay, so now we're going to add our grits to the coconut milk and water. Boiling. Depending on how many people you are serving, you're going to want to let the grits cook or cook on simmer for about 7 to 10 minutes. Stir everything up. Bring it to a boil again. So if you take a look at our kale, it's pretty much where we want it to be. Kind of has the, like I said, the tomatoes have blistered. The kale is soft. It's almost like a ragu. So we're just gonna leave that. I turned the burner off. We're just gonna leave that on there so that way it can kind of still stay warm. Your grits you want to continue to whisk even though it's on low, just so that you make sure your grits aren't sticking to your pot. If they tend to thicken up too quickly, then you can always add some more water. I'm gonna put the lid on, let it cook. Next we can go ahead and check on our salmon, see how that's doing in the boiler. So as you can see, pull the rag out. You still see the oil, so this is yet another reason why I said I'm not going to put and drizzle any oil on, because it obviously has enough oil. And we still want it to brown and get a little bit more golden in color, but it's pretty much, it's almost done actually. If you don't want to, I guess, have to be so patient, you can always turn your broiler up to low. I mean to high. I just kind of did it on low because when I'm dealing with fish, I want to kind of cook it more evenly and be able to control the temperature better. Alright, so we can take our salmon out now. And it's cooked perfectly. So we have our grits. We're going to take our grits first and put those in the bowl. Nice and creamy. Take our kale. And then last but not least, take some of our fish. And then we're gonna take some of our lime on top. And you can plate it however you choose. And then there's our plate of fish and grits with our coconut milk grits, our kale ragu, and then our citrus jerk salmon. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. And this has been Chef Khrystyn with Our Daily Delights Food Services.